18 newcomers that have come into the Trojan family. I'd really like to thank their families and these student athletes for one, welcoming us into their homes and becoming Trojans for life. Their belief and their trust in this university and our staff to become part of this great university is a special thing. You know, this is a really talented group. And it feels, and they represent everything that we want a Trojan to be, from class to character to student to athlete to person. We cannot be more excited to have these individuals here with us. You know, it's made up of 9 spring enrollees and 9 summer enrollees. So we're going to have some newcomers with us in a hurry, which we're really excited about. I'm looking forward to getting these young men in. Not only are they talented, but they fill some major needs for us at some positions personnel-wise. And I'd like to thank our staff for all their hard work in this first early signing period. There's a lot of work still to do, and typical of the West Coast, a lot of the West Coast recruits wait till February to sign. It reminds me a lot of last year at this time. So it's halfway through. It's a good halfway breaking point. We'll catch our breath for Christmas, and then it's time to move on and have a great January of recruiting. As far as the young men that signed, I'll just give a brief comment on each. Britton Allen is going to be a great defensive back for us, hard-hitting safety that we're really excited to get out of IMG Academy. Raylan Goforth, really a great local prospect here out of St. John Bosco. Tremendous linebacker that had a great senior year at Bosco, brings a lot of physicality to the park. We're excited to have him. Drake Jackson, one of the unique body types that is out there, kind of a hybrid outside linebacker. DN, can stand up, put his hand on the ground. Really unique pass rusher. Really looking forward to having Drake. Gino Quinones out of St. Louis High School. This was a unique body because he's played both offensive line and defensive line. Has the physicality to be able to do both. He was one of those talented guys from the state of Hawaii, and obviously we've had a lot of success there. Keaton Slovis is a quarterback out of Desert Mountain, out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Somebody that committed to us early in the process, that we loved in camp. Extremely accurate, can make all the throws. Incredibly football smart, and so glad to have him in with us. Stanley Taufoa from Grace Brethren, a linebacker that can play stack or outside. Tremendous physicality. Glad to have him. Max Williams, one of the more special athletes we thought in the city out of Sarah High School. The ability to play corner, nickel, very quick twitch. Coming off a little bit of an injury, but doing great with it. Really excited to have him. Jude Wolf, one of the best tight ends in the country. Here's a guy that can put his hand on the ground, can flex out. Tremendous receiver out of St. John Bosco. Very fortunate to have him be a part of us. Nick Figueroa out of Riverside Community College is a guy that we're excited about having the opportunity possibly be a 7 technique, a 5 technique, a D end. This is a guy that's a 275-pound guy that's going to look up. He's going to be 290, 295. Brings great pass rush ability, great run stopping ability, a lot of maturity too. For the fall enrollment guys, we have Dejon Benton, who's a 6'3", 285-pound man that we feel is going to be a 300-pounder out of Pittsburgh High School in Northern California. Tremendous quick twitch run stopper. We were extremely impressed with him. He was a guy that we really made a late push for, and were able to get him in the Trojan family. Keenan Kristen out of Madison High School in San Diego. Here was our home run hitter. You're talking about a 10.5 100-meter guy that has amazing track speed, and it transfers onto the football field. What he's done his junior and senior year, he's one of those guys that you hold your breath when he gets the ball. Trey Davis out of Federal Way in Washington was a young man that's been committed to us for a long time. Here's a DB that brings great length, another 6-foot DB that we'll put in the fold, another track kid that's a state champion track athlete at Federal Way that really transfers over to the football field. Talini Levi out of Narbonne, big 300-pound, grown man, just a tough person, and somebody that just came all of a sudden, and it happens in Southern California, all of a sudden you have a young man moving from Hawaii into the local scene and making a name for himself, and we just couldn't pass up the kid. I thought he was tremendous all year. He's one of the reasons Narbonne had such great success and brings a ton of size and physicality to our offensive line. Drake London, a two-way sport athlete out of Moore Park, 6'5", 205, can play football or basketball. Will play both here. Just an amazing athlete, an explosive athlete, going to be a tremendous Trojan. Munir McLean, obviously the younger brother of Malik, who's already on our team out of J. Sarah Catholic. You know, a young man that we feel, you know, really had a good senior year after coming off injury. Another big target when you look at the targets that we have currently on the team, and you add these two men, it's going to make it even easier for a quarterback. Another one of the great and better tight ends in the country, in Ethan Ray, 6'5", 240 out of Orange Lou. Here was a guy that we thought could, again, be an inline tight end, a flex tight end, brings great ball skills, great athleticism, terrific family, and we're glad to have him. Jason Rodriguez, 6'6", 325, offensive tackle out of Oak Hills. We were really excited to get this young man, again, size, bringing size to the table, and again, a kid that had a tremendous senior year. He's one that could step in and help us in depth immediately. And then Mananoa Tufono out of Punahou in Hawaii, 6'3", 235-pound linebacker that we're very excited about. You know, did a tremendous job at Punahou, an inside linebacker that we think, again, brings that physicality to the park for our defense. So 18 signees on the day. 4 of these young men, 4 of the midtermers, will be able to count back on last year's signing class, and then, you know, we've got to be able to proceed and move forward in January. There's a lot of good players out there to continue adding to this number. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
From our perspective, there were some guys who were up in the air till today, maybe some surprises. Mm-hmm. What were the key developments for you late in this process?
I think one guy that stood out, or really two guys that stood out to us, were, you know, Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson making, you know, his commitment to the Trojan family, I thought was important, especially when you're losing those, you know, that outside stand-up pass rusher like a Porter, and you look at this young man, 260, 270 pounds. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then a guy that I think is going to really come into the fold is Nick. I really feel that Nick's going to do a great job for us, coming out a little bit older gentleman that can bring physicality in the 5 technique, 7 technique role, be able to be a third down pass rusher also. You know, I thought Nick Figueroa was a special talent coming down the stretch. A lot of the others, you know, we kind of knew about that have been committed to us for a while, that stayed true, and then was proud of that. But I think Drake and Nick down the stretch there, those were 2 fights for us down the stretch.
On Drake, did you find that today, or did you know a little bit in advance?
It went all the way up to today. It went all the way up to today. You know, you always felt good about it. And Drake and his family are tremendous people. We knew the Trojan family was in their heart, and at the end of the day, we're so glad to have them.
What was it like as you were trying to kind of fill out your staff and recruit at the same time?
I felt like I had the phone duct taped to my head, to be honest with you. It was, it's been 3 weeks of being able to put a great staff together, as well as incorporating this early signing period and getting these 18 kids. So it was a very busy time. I look forward to a little bit of a break right now, and then it's going to come back on us pretty quickly, and January is going to be an important month for us down the stretch.
Last year when you were recruiting, you're selling guys who are coming off the Pac-12 title. Season was obviously different. So what was kind of your pitch to guys throughout the process?
This is an easy product. It's USC. I mean, it's a 15th academic ranked university in the country, and you look at all the majors that are here, you look at the strength of the Trojan family, it's not a hard sell. And you look at the football program as a whole. Yes, we have run a Rose Bowl, we have run a Pac-12 title. We did have a slip this year with some close games down the stretch with some young people. It's one of those things that at the end of the day, people see the big picture. and the people that signed with us today get it. They're into it for the 40, 50, 60 years of what it means to be a Trojan and be part of the Trojan family, and we're glad to welcome them in. Yeah,
For
Dan.
USC fans who are kind of used to, I guess, over the years, either the top or the second ranked class in terms of like recruiting stars, average, recruiting stars when they average them all out. And then this class won't be there with the 5 stars and all that. How do you tell people to say, we really haven't, this isn't a slip, this is.
Well, Dan, I would warn you too. I mean, think about last year at this time. We had only signed 10 kids and there were 8 kids to go. How about we just sign kids rather than fight for Amon-Ra St. Brown or Isaac Taylor Stewart or Elijah Griffin or those type of bodies? Those were 5-star kids. So you have to make a determination at this period of time. Are you just going to sign kids to sign kids? Or are you going to leave those open spots for those guys they're pretty talented out there, and we all know them, who's out there, and there's some big name guys. And that's a determination you have to make as a head coach. Are you willing to compete for those individuals? Are you just going to say, you know what, we're going to end right here? Just like last year, I chose to compete for some extremely talented men that were still out there. And I'm very happy with the job that we did last year by getting some of those individuals, I said, and you saw how we closed last year. And, it's not over until February. This is the halfway point, So last year we had 10 and then we signed 8 more. This year we have 18 and we have the ability to sign a lot more. So I'm looking forward to January and continuing finalizing this class.
Is there a certain position group you'll put an emphasis on between now and February?
All of them.
The secondary was a pressing need. How do you feel you addressed that to this point, and is that going to be an emphasis moving forward still?
Yeah, I love the 3 men that we signed today. I think Brenton Allen brings great physicality at the strong safety position, and then I look at Max Williams, who he's kind of a version of a Dory. I mean, just that unbelievable athlete, or at a J.N.A. Harris, just unbelievable athlete that can play corner or nickel. And Trey Davis was kind of the wild card in the whole thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we really lucked into that. You looked up and you get this name and you see a kid that had a state championship in the 4x1 with his team there at Federal Way, and you see a kid that can fly, and he came to camp and just lit the world on fire. And we were lucky enough to get him committed, and he's kind of like a Chase Williams. I mean, you could put this kid at corner, at nickel, at safety. He's got the physicality of a safety, but has the coverage skills of a corner and nickel, and that's pretty special. Plus, in a 6-foot body, that's a sub 1100 runner. That's a special body. So we kind of, be honest with you, we kind of lucked into that one.
What kind of adjustments did you make for the early signing period from what you learned last year?
You see a little bit more, kids that we signed here in this time. I felt there was a little bit more sense of urgency in the decision making on some kids. I still feel that West Coast wise, it feels like there's some elite kids left out there, and it was this way last year, that just said, you know what, Coach, I'm going to end up making my decision in February. There's a lot more pressure, I think, on the East Coast to be able to make the decisions and get it done. But there was a little bit more tendency to make decisions this year. And so you see us sign 18 today, which is a great number. It's more than we had last year at this time. But like I said, there's still a lot of work to do in January.